Hail and well met. This is Arm Bashio for DrySucks AR, and welcome back. And today I'd like to take a quick look, or somewhat of a moderate look, at the Puma, or Sd.Kfz 234/2. The /2 meaning that there were different variants of this. Presumably there were 4. The one that's modeled in game right now currently is the one that was predominant, as seen here off the Wikipedia site. There was actually a model before this one that was similar to. So if you let me find it right here. Here we go. Kind of a small picture, but it basically had the same gun as the Sd.Kfz 140. Which would be right here modeled in game as a premium vehicle. So it'd be interesting to see a variant of the Puma come out as maybe a premium or something like that, or maybe even incorporated somewhere. I'm very excited. I would like to see all 4 models. Anyway, so let's take a quick look at the X-ray view first before we look at armor, because the thing that really is interesting about this vehicle, if you read the Wikipedia, of course, they saw the need for fast vehicles, especially in 1940 after France. That the ability to move fast was really a thing that was very much sought after, and so the design of the Puma came into play. Now, again, there were 4 different variants. And the one in model game currently was the predominant one. But the interesting thing is that it was an 8-wheeled kind of all-wheel drive vehicle, and as you notice in the game, that there's a driver in the back, and he helps steer the rear. And this is what gave this thing such a phenomenal turning, the ability to turn, so. It's just really interesting. It's kind of, in a way, a little bit ahead of its time. Again, the Germans, kind of, if you look at the Porsche Tiger with electronic transmission, here we have an all-wheels, 2 people steering an armored car. It's just really interesting. Anyway, going back to the page, and of course, it mounted the L60 gun. Now, the L60 is also seen on, you have to go to here, and you'll notice the Panzer IIIs all have the L60, but this is rank 2, so you're basically getting that gun in rank 1, which I feel is phenomenal. There isn't much that will stop it. You're if you play the Puma the way I feel it should be played, you should have 0 issues paying or knocking out vehicles with this gun. So anyway, and again, there were other variants, of course, again, with the 20mm, which would be interesting. I think would be awesome. Then you had what this is kind of referred to as the reconnaissance version, but I consider all the Puma, except for maybe the last version, to be kind of a recon unit. I mean, if you look at the Puma, in this configuration right here, this is the bread and butter, but to me this is like a force recon type vehicle, cavalry type vehicle, where it goes forward of a unit, makes contact, and gets out. Okay, it's not designed to go toe-to-toe with anything out there. And as we review the armor, this is definitely obvious, even though at rank 1, its armor is equivalent to a lot of vehicles and isn't much thinner than some of the other, say, Panzer III to the front type thing. However, it does get really weak in the sides. But let's look at the armor. Okay, so you have 30mm front, 30mm. It's pretty much 30mm all the way up here, and its effective thickness doesn't get much better. Maybe a few spots there. Then you start hitting the sides. You're talking 14. Pretty much you have to be really careful. Machine guns will start penetrating this thing. The only thing that really sticks out is the mantlet. It does have some pretty good thickness. Then, of course, you get this beautiful L60 at rank 1, which to me is just phenomenal. Now, with that, as I've stated, there was a 4th variant. which I'd be interested to see. Not sure how it would fit in, but this with the Pack 40 would be really cool. Now, again, this is not something you're going to go toe-to-toe with. This is an ambusher. This is sit back, you know, whatever. And, of course, it's going to be a fix, so it's like driving a Stug or something. The other downside was, if you read it, it can only carry about 12 rounds of 75. So, but still, very interesting, kind of unique vehicle. And, again, kind of comes back to my model collecting in War Thunder. Models I don't have to dust. Anyway, let's focus back on the game and just kind of look this guy over, and then I'm going to show you some play footage of how I played this vehicle. First off, again, I play this vehicle as if it was a forward element, like a recon unit or a cavalry unit, or even maybe in force recon. You know, yes, it can go up, it can spot. It's not designed to get toe-to-toe with anybody. It's just designed to get itself out of trouble. Now, again, this vehicle probably did really well for about the first 3 years. Probably later in the war, you know, especially by 45, this vehicle's gun became pretty much null and void against only some of the thinnest of targets. But still, you know, again, as a command vehicle, a recon vehicle, you know, it was, from what I read, it was fast, it was mobile, and it did really well. Wasn't a lot of them produced, though, however. But still, it did definitely serve. You know, it's very well known through the wargaming community. The Puma is well known. Now, probably the biggest gripe I have with this vehicle right now is the nature of this vehicle is to not get spotted, and if it does, to get its ass out of trouble. What would be really great is these things right here. I don't know. I mean, I'll ask you guys. Christmas tree light holders? What? I don't know. Oh, maybe for smoke. Wow, maybe. Do we have smoke? Let's look. Do we unlock smoke? No smoke. Whoa. But didn't we just add smoke? We did. Now I get you. We can't add smoke to every vehicle out of the box. I get it, Gaijin. I get it. But this vehicle came with this patch that gave us smoke. Let us think. Yeah, I think this thing needs to have functional smoke dischargers. Even if it's a one-shot deal, just to be able to cover itself to get out of trouble. I find it just mind-boggling that a vehicle that came with the patch that needed smoke doesn't get smoke, when it probably one of the main vehicles that really needs smoke. Anyway, enough of my soapbox on that one, and I will, through the gameplay footage, I show you. I kind of mentioned that a couple times, but anyway, I love this vehicle. I fall in love with it. It's a lot of fun at tier 1, rank 1. Its BR is good. At BR, it just does really well. Anyway, let's take a look. I have some gameplay where I now comment through it of how we played, and let's take a look. Okay, so my first thought here was I'm not trying to go out to sea in the Puma, even though I feel it can cover the distance fairly easily. I felt it was just too vulnerable with the weaker armor. Again, my goal here was to try to use the vehicle as intended. And that's not to say I don't want to cap, but I feel like the Roo of 251, and again, I don't even own it, but people have a tendency, because the vehicle's fast, it can run out and cap. Now, the difference between a Puma and a Roo, of course, minus the whole battle rating thing, is that one, I think the Roo is way faster. In fact, again, I don't own it, but I can tell on paper. Two, you know, but they do both suffer from kind of the same issue, where they can't take a hit. Also, I feel they both have very good guns for their tiers. So again, this is kind of the room maybe for this battle tier, but still, I feel rushing to cap is not the best way to utilize this vehicle. And I was originally going to go to A, and we have a little Puma wreck here. I was originally going to A, and I seen there was already 3 that go in there, so I decided I'm going to tackle B and see what happens. And again, this vehicle drives fairly well, and I haven't unlocked all modifications at this point. But it's still getting a little used to, a little squirrely, but overall it does handle very well. However, terrain, of course, dictates. It is a wheeled vehicle, so even with the 8 wheels, even ground pressure for wheeled vehicles is really tough. Where on a tracked vehicle you have a flat track, and it kind of keeps that pressure there. So driving through this deeper sand feels a little bit cumbersome at times. Anyway, so like I said, I decide to head to B very slowly. And again, I do feel the gun for Tier is really, it can handle anything it comes across. I'll try to keep the most of the boring parts down to a minimum. And there's a little bit of dead in here, but a lot of it pertains to how I was trying to cautiously play this vehicle, and so I did not just get myself overexposed, kind of a hang back and wait. I know the vehicle can, like you have this tendency, because it is a faster vehicle, it can maneuver, get out, and get moving, that we all want to rush over and get cap, because again, getting cap is points, and points helps keep you moving through the match. So that is always a positive thing when you can give the I slipped on that shot, but got him to the engine though. And good reload on this, by the way, and I don't even have AC. Okay, took a hit. I'm gonna back up, stay out of sight, and have to repair here. So what I'm doing now is just observing. I'm actually taking a little bit of that Sherman will probably smoke in the front. But Crusader 3, I can probably take a few hits. Remember, the front on this is about 30 millimeters, 34.9, I think, effective. Really, the gun mantlet's the only thing that really just has any type of stopping power. Again, the front facing of the turret is about the same as the front of the hull. The sides are just pretty worthless. So we got an M4 and LVT I'm not too worried about. Again, I'm just observing. I don't have already unlocked either. That would have been a great thing. But... and Sherman took it. Now the LTV is there. The bushes have got him pretty obscure. I went low. Through the videos I was showing you, for whatever reason, I seem to underestimate this gun on my range. Also, here's another thing I've learned driving this, is getting through obstacles. It's not like a tank. It doesn't have the weight of a tank. It doesn't have the kind of oomph of a tank. And so the slightest things have a tendency to hang you up. So be mindful of where you drive. So at this point, I think that I'm pretty scared. I know that there is someone up on the hill to my right. So I'm going to try to tuck myself in as close as I can off this slope, hoping that I can't I obscure him. I think at the time, I knew there was somebody up there. I don't know what it was, but if you look up there, it said M4A1, the wolf guy there. I knew he was there, so I wanted to stay close because he just knocked out that Panzer IV while I capped this. Again, I would say don't use the Puma as a fast capper. You're just going to get in trouble. Think of him as the sneak in behind and retake a capper. I would rather do that than rush out, hit cap, and just die. And yeah, I might get enough. I might get the cap and get some points for myself. But I think the vehicle can be utilized continually through a game match. It's really, like I said, it was designed. If we look at these vehicles, even though this vehicle is being rated right now, there I can see that got there. In rank 1 with a BR-27. Really, these vehicles were used throughout the war. In real war, there's no rating, but they were used as probably more as a reconnaissance vehicle or a Ford cavalry type thing, where they would go out, they make contact, they break contact. Okay, they're not designed, do not get into a stagnated fight, but yet the gun on there probably would serve them well. Probably later in the war, this gun probably did not. It probably got to the point where it just wasn't going to be able to punch through some of your heavier tanks, especially on the East Front. West Front, Sherman in the side probably, stuff like that. But on the East Front, when it had to start dealing with probably IS-2s, stuff like that, it probably, the gun itself became pretty ineffective against tanks or something like that. Lighter skin vehicles, of course, would probably do well. Again, though, as it was being used as like a Ford cavalry type, force recon type unit, the object of it was not to get into a toe-to-toe fight. It was to go out, get the enemy, get the information, and then fall back. So as I play, I always try to keep this. I'm trying to keep this in mind and not get into a stagnant, like contest there with that M4A1. Now, at this point, and I don't know how he just shot through the building. Good job, Gaijin. We'll just take it. He went through a window. He saw me through a window, right? Anyway, what I'm trying to do is bait this M4 here, because I see there's an the PZ3 is coming up behind him, so I'm hoping to distract the M4 enough that the PZ3 can get it. And I take a pot shot and I hit him in the mantlet, and he backs off, and then boom, my job is done. I don't get a lot of points for it, but hey, you know what? It's all for the team. Okay, so at this point, I'm just slowly kind of creeping out. Again, my job, reconnaissance. I'm just poking, I'm sneaking. I'm not trying to get, trying to stay out of trouble. But I do notice our B cap is getting recapped, and I go, all right, gotta get B back. Let's do it. I'm a little nervous now, because now this is going to put whatever's out on that thing is going to put me in a toe-to-toe confrontation, and I just don't want to get into that type thing. But I believe the Stug 3 took out what was ever on cap, so we all run over here and recap real quick. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to to win the game. And then I move back out. And again, my goal now is to try to get up, and I want to forward observe between. I want a position I can kind of watch both where they're going to spawn in. But at this point, pretty much the game is over for this. I survived the whole round with the Puma and end out. But I don't want to bore you with a bunch of sitting around trying to wait for something to happen that I just never get into contact with. Pretty much the other team just collapses. But I do feel this match here really exemplifies how to use the Puma. It's not a fast capper, it's more like a come up behind after they've capped it real quick and come in and steal. You're sneaking, you're probing, it's just probing all the time. Don't get in a rush to get out there, because you're just going to end up dead. Especially, again, the side armor on this could be taken out by machine gun fire. So, at least heavier machine gun fire. Coaxial, stuff like that. So, do not put yourself into a position where you can just get strafed with machine gun fire, because you're just going to be dead and down. Alright, well, let's move on to, like I said, I won't run this part out too long. It's kind of boring after this cutout stuff. We'll move into a point where I kind of demonstrate the how easy it is to get killed in this thing. Alright, let's pick up the next video. Okay, so coming into this match with the Puma here, I felt, first off, getting to A is going to be really easy in this vehicle. Even though it's not as speedy as everyone thinks it is, as I've said, still I felt like I could get to A really easily. Now, I didn't want to rush over there, and I will pause just before I get a cap or attempt to get bumped into cap. But I felt that, one, I wanted to let a few of my other teammates get it. I'm not a big fan of rush capping, and then just, as you can see, I got bumped. Anyway, so this worked out really well. We wait for the 3, and then that's this guy. He's just kind of set to go. So I get in here and wait for the cap to finish off, and then as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, B becomes just a slugfest and not a good area for people to sit in. So I decided to use it more for what it should be used for, and it's kind of a reconnaissance vehicle. So I pull back a little bit and try to swing out to the south. Just kind of put myself in kind of an open position. I do feel this gun can handle, in this current match, anybody that I come across, as long as I'm paying attention. And that'll be the key factor here at the moment. I do, as I've driven it more now, I do like the way it feels. Honestly, it feels really good for a wheeled vehicle being driven. And I guess what I'm trying to say with that is certain other games, the wheeled vehicle just doesn't feel right. And this feels pretty good, especially in realistic battle. Feels pretty good. Now my goal here was just kind of sit and observe. I felt like my left flank I'm pretty obscured. I have some good cover from the tree line, so it's going to take a little bit for somebody to spot me. Now I don't know, again, because the markers are turned on, I don't know where they see are, and I do miss one tank cutting through right there, and I should have been more focused right in there. I thought he had, again, it was a blind shot through the trees. Not sure, again, if it's the best idea, but I felt I should have been more due diligent and patient sitting here. However, I do start to notice that at this point I noticed that A is being capped already from us, and I'm like, oh, I should, but I think I should just let it cap for a moment. There isn't, because I spin myself like this, and then the only, I can see the T-34 right there, and I aim, I think, a little low on this. Yeah, just a bit low. And then there's the M13 just through, and again, showing how vulnerable this vehicle is. Definitely in the side armor, it can just get chewed up. So, anyway, moving on to the next goal. Okay, here we are again with the Puma, and in this round honestly I meant to go to C, and I forgot to hit the spawn point I wanted. So I rolled with it, and I said, alright, we're going to take B and maybe roll out. I'm sorry, I meant to go to A first, not C. A. So hopefully I'm going to hit B, because I felt I could go to A, cap it quick, and head up. A lot of people don't like to mess with A. However, I felt it can be very strategic, because a lot of people don't like to mess with it, don't want to go out there because there's a lot of desert to traverse. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. So here we go. So heading out the Puma, headed for B. Instantly, I know, we're moving along pretty good clip through the desert, so we're going to get up there pretty quick. I did not anticipate any contact this early on, so I just kept it balls. Didn't really put a lot of effort into checking stuff, because I felt I had a pretty clear path getting to the Cap B. However, I did try to keep the buildings, protect my side, protect my flank, and kind of come in obscured. You'll see me cut through the buildings here, and here's another good example of how the Puma does not, when it meets resistance, it really drops off. You know, it's not like a tank plowing through a wall. So be mindful of that. Again, also, it can get hung up on things real easy. Anyway, I come around, and again, remember, this is an all-wheel steering. This is all-wheel steering. So remember, there's a guy in the back that's driving the back. However, every once in a while, I get a little goofy on the steering, and decide to ram a wall several times. But anyway, so I wait here for the cap, and my goal here, once I've capped out, is to get off cap and fall back. I'm not going to push forward, because again, I don't want to get into any direct confrontation. I also felt, well, let me wait here a minute. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself mentally. And look at those beautiful smoke canisters. Too bad it didn't have smoke. Didn't we just release smoke in this patch? There's another example where I got a little zealous at the turning. It does take a little bit of practice, but overall, I mean, it's nothing serious to drive. It's actually pretty well done. And I didn't mean to hit the wall. I want to cut right where I came through. Unfortunately, I did not do that. And then I thought I saw some movement, so I was just kind of a little nervous. I thought I saw somebody coming through there. So anyway, my goal here now is I know we now have C and B. I want to go overlook A. So I decided to head that way. Now, one thing I'd say, again, this gun, I feel it can handle anything in its VR. It's really good, actually. But I was trying to avoid long-range engagements because I felt the vehicle, at least toe-to-toe long range, where the other target knows I'm there and we're exchanging fire. And I happened to get into one of those right here. And one, I'm underestimating the gun's drop. There isn't as much drop as I thought, so I was overshooting for a bit here, as you'll see. But overall, it does do well when it hits the target. But I got it in. I'm going to get into a kind of an exchange firefight here, and I do knock out a couple, but at the same time, I get really damaged and can't move, and that really messes it up. Because then I'm out. As you'll see. Okay, so here's the first vehicle I spot running across, and again, I get this guy, but and now he's an AA gun, so he's just got machine gun fire, and he'll just, as you can see, he will start tearing me up, and I'm exchanging machine gun fire with my coax with him. Not too worried about not being able to damage him. There we go, got him. And I should have took note of my range right there, and for some reason I get a foobar here in a minute. I have to take way more shots than I think is necessary, and I do want to get into, again, a toe-to-toe pitched battle, even with a shall we say, hold on, stop moving around, this M5A1. Overall, you know, I have no problems worrying about whether I'm going to pen this guy or not, but I'm just doing a horrible job of ranging him. And I know he's on the move. He stops. And then I go low. And I'm like, what the hell? Now I'm just overshooting. I'm thinking I'm short enough. Bring it down. There you go. Machine gun fire. Hopefully. He's right about there, and I do a horrible job. So the Stug next to gets knocked out, so I'm concerned because there's a Cromwell. I know there's another vehicle. Honestly, I didn't know it was a Cromwell. And again, I'm doing a horrible job of getting my range here. And I'm just taking a beating for it, which I feel if I just killed the guy, I wouldn't be taking this beating. And I'll admit, I get there. I finally get him. I knock him out. And I'll be honest, I got a little bit of tunnel vision. Because now I get focused on that Cromwell. And there's actually a T50 coming up on my right. Personally, and again, I think I do need to repair. I can't. But anyway, I get knocked out by the T50. I felt I played that bad. I got into a pitched firefight on top of a hill in a Puma. Not the best. Not the best of ideas. But anyway, again, I'm actually really enjoying the Puma. I am very excited to see what potentially could happen in the future. You know, with other variants, other different types. I think they could fit in. You know, Germany had a lot of, you know, different, you know, not only variations of the Puma chassis, but just of their normal, the Hanomag, with pack guns on it and stuff like that. And most of the stuff, is it viable? You know, I don't know. But again, it's sometimes fun just to see these vehicles modeled and in game. I really enjoy, you know, it's kind of like my virtual model collection, and I really enjoy seeing this. So anyway, sorry, I should flip back to me. Anyway, this has been Arm Bushido for DrySucksAR, and this is just my take on the Puma. And again, you know, subscribe, give thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, give your opinion, what have you experienced, that type of thing. You know, again, I intend to play this a little more, you know, again, it's down in rank 1, so it is kind of good, you know, it kind of gives people the kind of incentive to come down and want to play a little bit, and, you know, fill some up, and just get back in there. It's kind of weird coming back, because I've been so focused on grinding, getting into tier rank, you know, getting to the upper tiers, that coming back down has been kind of exciting, and actually been kind of really fun with, you know, doing the Puma, doing this different type of vehicle. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy, and may Odin welcome you to Valhalla.